Hello and welcome back to Crypto Saving Expert, where we talk about the latest cryptocurrency news and take a look at the markets so we all know exactly what is happening. My name is Jess and we do these live streams every single weekday. Today we have pushed it back a little bit because we have a lot to discuss today. We have the CPI data being announced at 1:30 p.m. BST time, 12:30 p.m. UTC time. Lots of confusing changes in the time frames right now, but we have a lot of cryptocurrency news to discuss. And then when it hits past in 20 minutes time, we will be hearing about the US's inflation rates and what's really going on with the markets. And this could help us give an outlook of what's going to happen in the long term for the traditional markets and for cryptocurrency as well. So it's a very important point for us here. Let's get on to the price of Bitcoin first of all. We have 20 minutes to run through the usual cryptocurrency news in the usual live stream style. And then we'll get on to the inflation data, what it means. We'll do a little bit of a prediction before the information comes out. We can have a positive and negative scenario, and then we'll see how it plays out. But let's crack on with the usual stream to start with. First of all, let's check that everything is running smoothly. Hello, Robert. Hello, Sean. Hello, Jason. Thank you very much for tuning back in as always. Let's take a look at the prices. On the doors this morning, we have Bitcoin sat at $30,030, just staying stagnant for now. We have Ethereum down 2.23%, down to 1,873. Now, this is because we have all had a lot of speculation on the Ethereum Shanghai upgrade. We will also be talking about that today. It's a very exciting week in cryptocurrency. We have the US CPI data today. We have the Ethereum Shanghai upgrade today. And tomorrow we are hearing the FOMC minutes as well. So that'll be a really important live stream as well. So make sure, if you haven't already, to like and subscribe and press the bell notification button so you don't miss these live streams where we inform you of what's going on in the world of crypto. Now, less of the waffle. Let's go on to the actual cryptocurrency news. Let's take a look. First of all, we have Twitter have merged into X Corp, which is one of Elon Musk's company. This could be one of the first moves to become an everything app. So quite a long time ago, Elon Musk tweeted that he wanted to make an app that does everything, the everything app essentially, and he wants to call that X. And yesterday we heard that Twitter has been merged into X Corp, one of his companies. At the same time, Elon Musk also tweeted the letter X. So we can see that tweet down here, and this has indicated that this merge is something to do with this idea. He started to actually try and conquer that challenge of creating the everything app, and off the back of this, there's been a lot of speculation around Dogecoin. As always, Elon Musk talking about creating an application that possibly could have a cryptocurrency attached to it makes people speculate on the price of Doge. It may give Doge a utility. So we can see towards the end of this article, Musk's vision for Twitter is for the platform to become the super app X, where users can make payments amongst other things. On that end, there have been rumors of Twitter working on a feature called Coins, allowing users to support their favorite creators on the platform. And we can also see here that Dogecoin spiked over 30% after the company replaced its iconic bird logo with that of the Doge meme on the 3rd of April. And that was a huge fluctuation in the price of Dogecoin. And we could actually see Dogecoin be used in this everything app X. That is what is being speculated right now and is therefore creating a lot of hype around the meme coin. It could create some utility for the token, and therefore it's not necessarily the worst thing in the world. I'm not a super huge meme coin fan, but if we can create utility for a token, I'll start to listen a little bit more. So let's take a look at what is going on in the rest of the markets. We have 15 minutes left before we listen to this CPI data. So we're going to whiz through normal cryptocurrency news. Then we'll talk about the CPI data a little bit more. So first of all, we have Montenegro's central bank partners with Ripple for CBDC pilot program. So Ripple have been in a lawsuit with the SEC since December 2021, I think it was. So it's been it's December 2020. It's been 2 years they've been in this lawsuit now, but Montenegro's central bank have just said, we're going to continue to work with them. They are now working with Ripple and with the Montenegro government to try and create their central bank digital currency, and this is aimed at financial inclusion and digitalization. So we can see here, according to a press release, the partnership will be Montenegro's central bank, join the European Central Bank and similar entities in other countries to develop and explore national digital currencies. We did actually report last week a video of the president of the European Central Bank discussing central bank digital currencies and how important they are. The central banks are looking at creating these digital currencies. One, because everything gets digitalized these days, and having cash in our pockets, I do believe, is kind of old-fashioned, and having digital currencies is something that you can obviously see when you look into the future. The second thing is also the European Central Bank is worried that if they don't make these steps forwards and into creating these digital currencies, then others could do it first. She did mention that we could see Google or Facebook creating digital currencies, or they could see some countries that they're not exactly allies with creating currencies, and it could be a problem if it's adopted widely within their jurisdiction, because digital currencies can be used for control. There could be control on transactions. So that's what the European Central Bank is worried about, and therefore they are trying to make steps forward in creating their own CBDC first. And it's kind of a race against time at this point. We can see here the introduction of a digital currency aligns with the CBCG's core objectives, and it is another step forward in digitizing the Montenegro financial service industry and improving accessibility for its citizens. Ripple has a proven track record of successfully connecting disparate payment systems and championing blockchain's utility to issue central bank digital currencies and solve for global payments to hundreds of financial institutions around the world. We are pleased that the CBCG has chosen Ripple to help launch its first digital currency and further address the country's core financial objectives. So we are seeing that they have partnered with the Central Bank of Montenegro to help with those CBDC problems. Checking in with the chat now, please don't forget to like and subscribe and press the bell notification button if you haven't already. We do these live streams every single weekday talking about what's going on in the markets. Q has said, good morning, Aussies rules. We've got an Australian following here. Thank you very much for tuning in all the way from Australia. Let's check out what the next piece of news is here before we get even closer. We're edging closer now. We've got 12 minutes left before we hear about the US inflation rate. Let me have another sip of my drink. Okay, here we go. We've got Alibaba ventures into AI with the launch of ChatGPT Rival. So China-based technology giant has revealed that it's working on an AI chatbot similar to ChatGPT, and it will be launched in the near future, and they plan to integrate it into several products. So the AI race is finally on. The cloud computing arm of the popular Chinese technology company Alibaba announced on Tuesday that it was working on its version of an artificial intelligence chatbot similar to ChatGPT. So the chairman and the CEO of the group have said, "We are at a technological watershed moment driven by generative AI and cloud computing, and businesses across all sectors have started to embrace intelligence transformation to stay ahead of the game." Now, what's going on with AI right now is absolutely crazy. It's just destroying so many jobs. People are making so much money from using AI instead of working through problems themselves. It can just save so much time, so people are getting tasks done so much faster, and therefore certain jobs are no longer required. And we're seeing this happen really, really quickly. I think we all knew that this was starting to happen, but over time, it's just increased and increased and it's increased. Let's take a look at this next one. We have the AI chatbot will be integrated across its products. So we're already seeing this take place. Huge moves here from the whole of AI, and seeing this competition is just going to speed up this process. We did say a couple of weeks ago that big players within the space like Elon Musk were calling to pause giant AI advances while they just looked at the risks involved in the technology. But other players like Brian Armstrong were against this and said there are always problems and there are always faults when trying to advance on technology, but good always comes from it, and we can always learn from it. And pausing it won't really do us any good. But we've continued to develop on it thus far. Whether we continue, we'll see. We did see Italy ban ChatGPT over security concerns, but we'll see how this plays out. Let's check in with the chat. We currently have, let's see how many likes we've got on today's stream. We're currently sat at, it's loading. We have 10 likes on today's stream. Please don't forget, if you haven't already, to like and subscribe and press the bell notification button so you don't miss the latest cryptocurrency news. We've got 9 minutes left before the US inflation data, so we'll do another 4 minutes of general crypto news, and then we'll get on to the good stuff. So we have, they've raised $30 million at a valuation of $800 million to build a trading-focused blockchain. So positive valuations here. The valuations in cryptocurrency have dramatically increased since the markets have turned around. We can see here a positive outlook on the price of Bitcoin. Price prediction that Bitcoin could hit a new all-time high by September. And this is according to Bitcoin and crypto analyst Timothy Peterson of Cane Island Alternative Advisors. And he's forecasted that Bitcoin could create a new all-time high. Now, we can take a look at the price of Bitcoin really quickly before we get into the deep dive on what's going on. I believe if we pull up this, we can take a look. Bitcoin halving is expected to be in April 2024. And if we take a look at the Bitcoin chart on the Bitstamp chart, so we can see all of the historical data. If we go to the weekly chart, and if we pull up an indicator that is called Bitcoin halving, it will come up with all the halvings we've seen in the history of Bitcoin. And when we take a look at this, you can see the year prior to each of these halvings has been a very positive year, and we've seen very nice price increases. I'm not going to get all the percentages up now because we have done this a couple of times. I think this is about 320%, 120%. This one was around 20% because we did have that anomaly of the COVID-19 pandemic dump just prior to the third Bitcoin halving. But overall, the year before a Bitcoin halving is usually very positive. I'm not in the camp that can agree that we are going to break the all-time high prior to the next Bitcoin halving. That isn't usually what we see. We usually see us break the previous all-time high just after the Bitcoin halving, and I like to trust that history will repeat or rhyme rather than thinking that the mold is changing. I don't like to trade against what I've seen over and over again until it's actually proven me wrong. So I'm not convinced that we'll see an all-time high this year. I'm expecting next year, but I'm expecting positive price movements throughout the year, and we have seen those so far, so we can't complain. Let's take a look here. It's currently 23 minutes past, so we've got 7 minutes to go until we hear the CPI data. We've got 14 likes on today's stream, so please don't forget to like and subscribe and press the bell notification button so you don't miss the latest cryptocurrency news. Now, this is a report that absolutely shocked me. 3 out of 4 people buy NFTs for their utility. So NFTs, I say this over and over again, I'm not a huge fan. I don't really see them having much real world utility right now. Maybe in the future, we are seeing some projects from big players in Web 2 that actually are onboarding NFTs that do have real world use cases, but for now I'm really struggling to see their value, and I feel like it's a lot of luck involved in this industry. But what we are seeing here is that a report has stated that 3 out of 4 people buy NFTs for their utility. So some users must be seeing these advantages. We do see advantages of NFTs in like Web3 gaming and things like that. However, I only own one NFT that I minted just a couple of weeks ago. It does have some quite nice utility. I'd be interested to see how that goes. Maybe it'll sway me into the NFT sector. I know a lot of people have made a lot of money from NFTs, so you can't really complain about it. Let's take a look at what is going on next. We have Hong Kong's largest virtual bank willing to work with crypto exchanges. So Hong Kong is now on a mission to become a cryptocurrency hotspot. We've seen the regulations change, we've seen the outlook on crypto change, and we've seen the banks be very eager to help on this way to become a cryptocurrency hotspot. And this is the exact opposite to what we've seen in the UK, where they decided they wanted to become a cryptocurrency hotspot, and all of the banks decided they did not want to work with cryptocurrency companies. So working against each other there, but we are seeing here that they are working together, and Hong Kong could be the next big space for cryptocurrency investors getting involved. Let's take a quick look at the next article because it is 25 past, which means we've got 5 minutes left until we hear the CPI data from the US. We have Bitcoin shrimps, which is a new term for me. Apparently, according to this article, shrimps are investors that have less than 1 Bitcoin in their account, so just the opposite to a Bitcoin whale. Bitcoin shrimps have accumulated 35,000 Bitcoin in the last 30 days, and we can see here that the current accumulation rate is the 4th highest in the market's history. So we're seeing a widespread amount of accumulation right now by those smaller investors, buying up Bitcoin, buying the dip, ahead of what could be a brilliant Bitcoin bull market. Let's take a look at the next article here. We have the Shanghai upgrade. Let's talk about this super quickly. We've got 4 minutes left. We have the Shanghai upgrade. Let's do this after. We're going to have to do this after the CPI data. Let's talk about the CPI data first. So we need to talk about this. Let's check on what is happening in the chat. Everything looks like it's still running smoothly. Perfect, just what we like to see. So we have 4 minutes until we hear the CPI data. Now, the CPI data, we're going to effectively hear what the inflation rate in the US has been in the last year from March to March. So last time we heard the inflation data, we have a chart up here. Let's get this chart up. We can see it was at 6%. Now, the inflation in the US has been as high as 9.1%, and the Fed are on a mission to push this down to 2%. So in June 2022, in the year prior, the inflation in the US had been at 9.1%. Now, we have had some predictions on what we think the inflation data could come in at today. So it's forecasted to be at 5.2%. And this is a significant decrease from the 6% figure last month. So in terms of markets' reactions to this piece of information, if the inflation rate is moving to the downside, this will be a positive thing for the market. It means that these higher interest rates have been working and we're seeing inflation come down. Definitely a positive thing for the market, and we could see some nice moves to the upside if this forecast is correct. If we're seeing inflation stay the same or even go higher, it could negatively impact the market. So they're the scenarios we are looking at. Let's take a look at the possible scenarios here. So we can see here an on-target release or lower would be highly bullish for the markets, as it would demonstrate the fight against inflation is continuing to work. In this scenario, Bitcoin could rally aggressively to the upside and continue its ascent towards $35,000. Strength in traditional markets would align with this idea, as the S&P 500 is targeting the August 2022 high of $4,300. Markets react positively to cold CPI data, as it suggests the Federal Reserve could slow their interest rate increases. We will discuss interest rates just after we hear the news. I don't think we've got time to discuss that now, but we'll talk about the long-term effects of this inflation data in just a second. We can see here also that, on the other hand, the higher than forecasted figure could shake the market spending and how far off it is. If it misses the forecast by several points, it would likely have minimal effect, as the figure would still be lower than February's 6% released in March. In this scenario, Bitcoin may be subject to a volatile, choppy day in which it doesn't take a particular direction but seeks liquidity from both sides as the markets digest the news. And we can see here the third scenario would be hot CPI print significantly higher than forecast, and this type of figure could be 6.1% or higher. So in all of these scenarios, what we are going to see is extreme volatility. We have 1 minute left before we hear the inflation data in the US, so let's hold on tight to see what this is. Before we do, please don't forget to like and subscribe and press the bell notification button so you don't miss the latest cryptocurrency news. We do these live streams every single weekday talking about what's going on in the markets, and right now we are waiting to hear what the CPI data is in the US, so sit tight and see what it is. Actually, drop your predictions into the chat. You've got 30 seconds to let me know what your predictions are in the chat. It's widely estimated to be at 5.2%, but we'll see. So far, we are looking at, if it's at 5.2% or lower, we could see a nice pump for Bitcoin. If it's between 5.3% and 6%, we may see some volatility, but not too much movement in either direction. And if it's at 6.1% or higher, we could see some dumps across the markets. So US inflation has fallen to 5%. That is the news that has just come in from the markets. Bitcoin should react very, very nicely to this. The higher interest rates are working. Bitcoin is absolutely flying. It's up above $30,300. I've not seen a candle like this in a very, very long time. We are on the 1 minute chart here, and it is absolutely soaring. So what we're seeing right now is that we have had an inflation rate lower than expected, and this is showing that the hikes in interest rates in the US is working. We've been seeing higher and higher interest rates. We've been seeing the banks collapsing because of these interest rates and their bonds being less valuable, and now we are seeing that throughout all of that pain, we've seen positivity, that it's actually worked, it's done some good. So we had a high of inflation up at 9.1%, and we have been trying to get it down to 2% in the US. It's currently sat at 5% year on year. So between March 2022 and March 2023, there was an inflation increase of only 5%. But from February to February, it was 6%. So we've seen a nice move to the downside. The volatility in the markets right now is absolutely crazy, like it always is. When we get big news like this, I'm sure this will continue to be volatile for the time being. So let's keep that chart up and let's discuss what this means in the long term here. I am incredibly happy with this news. So what this means is the higher interest rates have been doing their job, essentially, and the interest rates have been going up and up and up, and this is not a good thing for the markets. Higher interest rates mean that we have less money within the market, within the retail investors. People are looking at less risky assets. People are moving out of traditional markets and risk on assets like cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin. So every time the interest rate rises and continues to get higher and higher, the markets don't react particularly well to this. However, they are going to continue to increase interest rates until they can get inflation down to 2%. So what we are seeing here is those increasing interest rates are working, which means in the long term, they can start to slow that down and start to even reduce interest rates in the long term. So this data is really giving us a long-term outlook on what we can expect within the markets. Definitely some positivity here. Let's take a look at what else is going. Let's see if we've got any. I mean, I don't want to take the Bitcoin chart off the screen for you all because I know you will all have your eyes glued onto the screen, but I'm pretty sure by now we should have a cryptocurrency news article out on Crypto Saving Expert. Here we go, the most reliable cryptocurrency news source that provides information exactly as it happens. We can see here that the US CPI comes in lower than forecast at 5%. So the data was released at 8:30 Eastern Time on Wednesday by the US Department of Labor Statistics and represented year-on-year inflation to the average US citizen. Two figures are released: headline data and core CPI data. Headline measures the raw amount of inflation within the country, whereas core CPI measures inflation where goods with higher fluctuations in value are removed. So we reported on Tuesday that having a lower inflation rate than predicted at 5.2% would be a positive thing for the markets, and that is exactly what we're seeing. We'll go back to check the price of Bitcoin, currently up at $30,350. Let's take a look at when we were last at these higher levels. We last traded at this point in June 2022. So it's been around seven months: July, August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April, 10 months since we've traded at these levels, and we are now seeing us back up at these points. We've seen a horrible time period between these times, and we are now back up at these levels. Let's see how Ethereum is reacting to this news. So on the 1 minute chart for Ethereum, we've seen a nice increase as well, from down at $1,870 to $1,894. Big increases across the board. Everyone's feeling positive. If you have enjoyed that has come down, please don't forget to like and subscribe. And press the bell notification button so you don't miss the latest cryptocurrency news. We do these live streams every single weekday. Then maybe not as entertaining as this. We don't usually get this much volatility on the 1 minute chart for Bitcoin, but we do take a look at the cryptocurrency news every single day. So we are currently sat at $30,450 for Bitcoin. Let me know in the chat when you think this is going to stop, because we are absolutely mooning right now. Let's take a look at this S&P 500. Oh, Bitcoin just is rallying and rallying, about to touch $30,500. Really positive news here. Let's take a look at the S&P 500 and see what's going on there. See how this is reacting to the data. I can't get on that one. Let's try. Not having any luck here. Do you know what we should take a look at? The DXY. The DXY on the 1 minute chart is dumping heavily. So that is what we are seeing there. That has an inverse correlation with Bitcoin. Bitcoin is going up and up and up. Just what we want to see. And we got very close to $30,500 there at $30,485. I'm sure we'll touch that $30,500 level. So if you have traded Bitcoin at this point in time and you were in a long position, congratulations. We have already seen, since this news was released, a 1.3% increase, and it's not stopping there. The volatility is continuing. If you have enjoyed this piece of news, please don't forget to like and subscribe and press the bell notification button so you don't miss the latest cryptocurrency news. Definitely make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next one. We do these live streams every single weekday. Let's take a look anyway what is happening in the chat. Everybody is very excited with what's going on. Jerome said, sell all your fiat. I can't give financial advice, but Bitcoin's looking pretty nice. Let's take a look at the 5 minute chart and see what's going further. JB said, hit the likes to moon Bitcoin further. Agreed. That is proven science. If you like Crypto Saving Experts content, Bitcoin goes up. That's the whole point. So don't forget to like if you haven't already. So let's take a look at what's going on in the in the grand scheme of things. Interest rates rising is working, and therefore we are seeing a nice pump for the markets. This lower inflation rate may be a signal that we aren't going to see higher interest rates for much longer. That is something the markets don't like to see. So when we see that could be the case, and the long-term predictions for our assets can be slightly more hopeful and slightly more positive, so we can positively react from this. What we're seeing here is that if interest rates aren't getting higher and higher every single month, then we are going to see more positive things. And maybe it won't stop yet, but we're looking at the long-term scenario. The long-term scenario is interest rates aren't going to rise forever because their effects are that it's doing what it needs to do, essentially. So we are currently sat at $30,374. We did actually come up to this point just a couple of days ago, so maybe not correct. But at these points here, we haven't been as high as this point since back in June 2022, which was an awfully long time ago. Gavin said, my heart rate is rising. We are all very happy to see this here at Crypto Saving Expert. Inflation down to 5%, lower than expected. It was expected to be at 5.2%. So we have seen a nice move to the upside for Bitcoin and for Ethereum as well. But do be careful. Always expect volatility when it comes to things like this. Let's move quickly on to the Ethereum upgrade. Let's talk about that quickly, and then we'll come back to the Bitcoin chart and see what's going on here. I always feel like if I take the Bitcoin chart off the screen, no one's going to like it. But we should talk about the Bitcoin. We should talk about the Ethereum upgrade as well, because that is happening today. So let's pull that up quickly, and then we can get back onto the chart. We will see here. Let's find the points. JB said, I've seen reports that in the not too distant future, we will have very low rates again. That is what I am hoping for. That is what is expected across the board. We do expect a couple more rate hikes in the coming months, but in the long term, it is looking pretty hopeful that the effects of the higher interest rates have worked, and we can start to look at lower interest rates. We can actually, well, let's discuss that one piece of information that you've put my brain onto. Let's find the article that we had on Crypto Saving Expert just a couple of days ago. Let's find where this was correctly. We have so many articles on Crypto Saving Expert. If you haven't checked them out, make sure to go to cryptosavingexpert.com and go to the news section. You'll get the most reliable cryptocurrency news. So what was the point that I was going to make? You said, I've not seen that in the not too distant future, we will have low rates again. Yeah, fingers crossed we do see low rates. What's likely to happen is we'll hit the point at which it will just stay stagnant and we won't see much movement in the interest rates while inflation continues to decline. And then when inflation hits that target of 2%, I think we'll all be very, very happy with what's going on in the markets. Let's quickly check the price of Bitcoin. Still volatile, up at $30,367. $30,375, back up again. Positive things here. The 1 minute chart is looking incredibly choppy. I hope we had no shorters on this live stream. I'm not a fan of the Bitcoin shorters. Bitcoin longs only here. Let's take a look what is going on for Ethereum for just a second, and then we'll come back to the CPI data. So for the Ethereum upgrade, let's discuss this. The Shanghai upgrade may be a lot less dramatic for Ethereum than expected. So we've seen a huge amount of speculation around the Ethereum Shanghai upgrade and what could happen to the price of Ethereum. There is a lot of speculation that when people can unstake from the network, they will unstake and sell a huge amount of their assets and dump the price of Ethereum. But we can see here that the team at Glassnode has concluded that the Shanghai upgrade will have a minimal economic effect on Ethereum, and it adds that activating withdrawals on the Ethereum network will strengthen the staking industry. So what we have seen here is that people can unstake their Ethereum, but this is just the last stages in the steps to creating a proof of stake network. And this is just one of the stages that does need to happen. As I've been saying in the last couple of days, the market sentiment has changed. When it was at the bottom of the bear market, if this were to have happened, yes, people probably would have sold their assets because so many people were thinking that the prices were going to go lower and lower and lower. But right now, especially after this morning's pump, everyone's feeling really, really positive about the markets. So people are looking to hold on for the long term. So I don't think this will have as big of an effect as it would have done if it occurred at the bottom of the bear market. So we can see here, the economic effect of the Shanghai upgrade will be a lot less dramatic according to Glassnode. And they've explored several scenarios on how the Shanghai upgrade will affect Ethereum's economy, and according to their analysis, the upgrade will not have that much of an effect on the price of Ethereum as widely believed. Let's take a look at the price of Ethereum right now. It's currently at $1,890. We can see that the team at Glassnode have written here, even in the most extreme case of an exodus of validators, Ethereum's design of the proof of work exit queue will limit the amount of stake that can be drained from the pool at once. Therefore, the economic impact of such an event would be stretched out over days to weeks. Based on our analysis, the impact on the Ethereum economy is expected to be a lot less dramatic than many have painted it to be. Also, the results that we also see from this is that when people are expecting something really dramatic and they don't get it, we'll have a lot of panic back in the market. So people may be expecting this huge move to the downside, and when they don't see it, they may think, I've chosen the wrong side, I should long this. So we may see a lot of volatility, but that will just be from speculators rather than actual validators dumping their assets. So we can see here the Glassnode team added that the activation of withdrawals will most likely strengthen the staking industry and better serve holders of Ether over the long term. So that is what we're seeing there, but we will see how this plays out. Obviously, Ethereum is being incredibly volatile now because the US inflation has dropped to 5% year on year. Very, very positive things. I'm really super glad to hear this, that the higher interest rates have done some good because it's been a very painful process. Let's take a look now at the chat and see what's going on over here. Jerome said FOMC minutes I thought the FOMC minutes was tomorrow, Jerome. Have I got that right? Let me check. Let me give that a Google. FOMC minutes meeting. I believe it is tomorrow. I hope it is tomorrow because I've not got that in my diary for today. Let's see when this is. What's the date today? We are going to hear about this. You can all watch the price of Bitcoin while I check on Jerome's facts. Let's check if it's all correct. We have minutes being released on ... I don't know. Can somebody please let me know what the correct answer for this is? I really hope it's tomorrow. I really did believe the FOMC meeting minutes was being released tomorrow. Let me know if I am wrong, though, in the chat. Before we continue today's stream, please don't forget to like and subscribe and press the bell notification button so you don't miss the latest cryptocurrency news. What we are going to hear tomorrow is what I believed is tomorrow is the FOMC meeting minutes, and I will discuss that in just a second. Before we do, we are on 33 likes for today's stream, so please don't forget to like and subscribe. We are on 2,826 subscribers on a mission to get to 2,850 by the end of the week. If possible, please help out on that mission. Gavin said it is tomorrow. Thank you. Jerome, you've just given me a heart attack. That's absolutely fine. So what we are hearing tomorrow is the FOMC meeting minutes. So this is a meeting that they have discussing the interest rates, and we can have a little bit of an insight of the Fed's officials' thoughts on the interest rates, whether they are looking to hike them for a prolonged period of time or whether they're looking to slow this down. So now that we've had this inflation data, This meeting was held prior to this inflation data announcement, but we'll be able to get a little bit of an insight on what they think is going on and what they think they should do for the long term, so we can start to analyze a little bit more and have a slightly more accurate prediction on what could happen in the future for interest rates. And interest rates massively affect the markets. If interest rates are rising, then the markets don't like this, and if interest rates are falling, the markets do like this, because if there are higher interest rates, in turn it means people are taking out less loans, less mortgages. People have less money to spend because they're trying to shrink the economy, lower inflation. And when people have less money to spend, they're moving out of investments into the stock market and into cryptocurrencies. So that's why it negatively impacts the markets. Now, we do still have Bitcoin being incredibly volatile here. YouTube is playing up so much. It says we have -1 viewer right now. That is just impossible. I don't know what is going on here. Please don't forget, if you haven't already, to like and subscribe. But I think that is all we have for today's stream. We can just sit and watch the price chart for Bitcoin for a couple of minutes. Jerome said he's got 2 web sources saying that the minutes are today. Jerome, I am slightly concerned. If it is today, I will be doing another live stream, but it wasn't in my plan. I'll take a look at the end of this stream. We can sit for a minute and watch the price of Bitcoin be incredibly volatile. I wonder how many of you guys have had leverage trades on at this point in time. It's been volatile as expected. Volatility still to come. I think that is the end of today's stream though, so thank you very much for tuning in as always. Jerome, I might see you again later today. Who knows? I'll give a little bit of a research.